All right. I think we're going. Welcome back to one of these. Uh, kind of late for me, honestly. Hope your Monday is going well. Mine was just full of stuff to do. At least full of stuff to do after work. Um, but yeah, hopefully yours was a nice and relaxing start to the week. Even like right now, I thought it was actually going to start snowing last night. Last night before I went to bed, I got like a notification about a winter storm advisory, and I'm like, oh gosh, am I going to wake up to like a winter wonderland? And uh, I woke up, opened the blinds, and I'm like, it's still muddy outside. I feel betrayed. But I guess that was more of a warning for just today in general. I suppose we're supposed to be getting some snow between like 4 p.m. today and like basically for 24 hours. Just look out, it's probably going to be snowing or raining or both. So that might be kind of fun to deal with, especially since to drive somewhere on Wednesday. Yuck, it's going to be terrible. Hopefully, hopefully roads are doing okay. Don't really want to think about that right now. Anyway, so one of the things that I was doing after work today, and I've been doing it for a little bit. I've been taking interviews for technical writing positions lately, and it's kind of funny how I don't want to like I guess the word qualified to be qualified for these kinds of positions that I am. Like I'm a developer. I do writing, but I don't do it all the time. It's definitely a part of my job, but it's not like the forefront of it. Writing code is generally what I'm doing, but otherwise it's kind of like planning and solutioning things. Even for a developer, if you ask any developer, they're not writing code all the time. If anything, the whole act of programming is generally like an 80-20 split of 80% of the time you're figuring out what you're going to do, and 20% of the time you're actually doing the thing that you researched that you were going to do. Like you're looking for a solution to a problem, and then you're going to do that. Not do that problem, do the solution to the problem that you looked up. And in between all of those other things, you're like documenting anything that you're doing, that you're implementing that you want other people to know about or how it works. Cool thing about like coding well is you usually write your code in a way that if another developer looked at it, they'd know exactly what you were doing. Like when I was studying programming initially, it was usually like encouraged to use comments when you code, and that's still a pretty good practice, especially if you don't like it's not immediately clear what you're doing or why something is named the way it is, or if you're doing a particularly strange like check or heuristic. If it doesn't make immediate sense in that spot of the code, you want to document that in some way so that people who see this in the future, they understand why it is that way. And like ideally you don't run into much code like that, but like when you're running around actual like production code, you're looking at things that are out there and have been out there for years or decades. There's going to be some stuff that builds up over time, and there's going to be some code that requires an explanation. But that works okay for developers. But when you want to convey what your project is doing, what your solution is doing to people outside of people who are actively looking at the code who can understand that, how do you do that? And just over the course of my career, it's always been either wiki pages, now Confluence pages, or writing a how-to guide on how to work with something, a tutorial for getting started with this thing that I'm doing, or writing documentation for conveying an idea that I want to do with the team or with the team's time or with the team's resources. And it's uncanny how much that like just fits right into some of the questions that I get asked for a technical writer interview. I guess I shouldn't be terribly surprised. I guess not all developers will be great documenters. If you're if you're a developer who's fairly good at communicating, then you're probably a decent writer. And I guess that's not really a great assumption, but if you're a decent communicator, then you at least understand what good writing like will be doing, what you're trying to do with good writing. You understand that it's a means of communicating. And all of what I do and my mindset of what goes into that plays really well into these questions. Like, I wanted to see about branching out and actually using my day job, instead of being a manager, doing stuff that isn't really helping me build my skill set that I want to continue doing. Like, it'd be neat if I had a team or like a full like company or something to work with me, but I'm just not at that point yet. I need skills that I can use to do some of the stuff that I want to do going forward, namely writing or marketing, ways to put my writing out into the world. And roles like that exist. Content developers and technical writers. They're both people who are writing something for an audience, and a part of your job is making sure it gets seen by the right people at the right time. So it's kind of neat to me that I don't have to like go too far out of all of the skills I built up so far to do a decent job answering questions or passing assignments or assessments of that skill set. And I guess all that is to say, like, you never, even like when I was looking at these applications, it never really felt like it's like, yeah, I guess I technically qualify for this. I don't necessarily check off all of the marks for what they're looking for in this role, but that's the case it is for developer for me too. Like, if I'm looking for some new thing, it's usually like code in like 3 languages, and one of them happens to be JavaScript, so I'm covered there, but I've never done like Go or Python before, which are some of the other common ones you'll see these days. So it's just easier for me to like see myself in a developer role because I've been in one for so long that I kind of lost track of the fact that an application is like a really nice to have checklist for somebody. They're rarely going to find somebody that fits all of those bills and is also just a decent fit for the organization too. Like, there's like a really good chance that if you do like tick all the boxes, that you just don't pass the like a behavioral check at screening for a company. You could do everything technically right, but not be a good fit for that team. And it's good that people do that, but it's one of those things that kind of brings it back. You don't have to be 100% qualified for what you're trying to do. When you're working in whatever position you are, you're naturally building up a bunch of skills that when you limit your mind to thinking of, well, I'm going to apply for a job and I'm going to put together a resume and I have this resume to start from, don't start from that. Like, take a step back and think, well, what do I want to do next? And you identify what that is. For me, it was some sort of writing role. So I started looking at project management, content writing, and technical writing. But it could be any other type of thing. Like, I'm not a data analyst, but I have coding experience. And I work with data, but I've never been a data analyst. I could take a step back and start over from scratch and be like, okay, so these are the skills that I have, and these are the things that I've done, not as a primary part of my job, but just learning over time. And I don't have to, like, whoever's going to interview you doesn't know that that's not what you did 100% of the time. You just have to be good enough to prove that you can do it with the bit of time that you've spent on the job doing it. Just because it's not what you did with most of your time at your current job doesn't mean that you're not good at it. If you spend some time doing it, and it's like people like when you're doing inventory or working the register or talking with customers or working or like doing like a certain type of data entry, or you have a really good way of making one of those jobs easier, that's a big thing that you can put like on whatever resume that you're putting out toward anything that you're applying toward. I guess that's kind of my mindset when I got into it. Is like, I have a developer resume. I'm going to be giving a developer resume to a bunch of people. And I'm like, let me reimagine this. Let me write it as if I highlighted skills that I wouldn't normally highlight from my role, and then use that as my resume. And it's surprisingly working. And I was a little afraid when I was going into some of these interviews that I wouldn't be able to answer the questions, or it'd feel like I was faking it a lot of the way. But just speaking my mind about how I think things should work or how I approach writing, people are like, yeah, that's a really good answer. And it's nothing I'd expect to hear. So I'm just surprised to have made it that far on skills that I figured were secondary to everything that I currently do. So all that kind of is to say, you're never going to be 100% qualified for anything you're looking to do. And if you're looking to change what you're doing, try to take a step back and see what skills that you've done, that you've built up where you're currently at. It doesn't even have to be at work. It could be like volunteering or side projects or something. And highlight those, showcase those, and just give it a shot. Like, a part of this even like being as far as this is because I just gave it a shot. I didn't think I had like a serious chance at getting any one of these, but it's surprising how, not how little, but it's like how much I can like be like, yes, I have this. And if you just put enough applications out, people are going to be like, yes, that thing that you have. And in my case, it could be just like developing, like I have a developer mindset, or I manage a team. That really stands out. It's like that coupled with all of the other things, even if you do them mediocre and you're still learning, that other thing you bring to the table is huge. And you never know what that huge thing will be to whoever you're talking to. So don't get discouraged about that kind of thing. Be open to the new things that you want to try. And if you think that you've got something that you could bring to the table for that, highlight that. Really sell that when you're talking about yourself and how you could be a fit for a team. I'm surprised at how well it's going for me so far, and if it's working for me, then I'm fairly certain it'll work for just about anybody else. I'm kind of an idiot, but of course I have like a ton of like just inherent privilege based on how we are in our society, but I won't get into that. That's a discussion for another time. But like, aside from, you know, me being a white male in this day and age, don't let, when it comes to just those skills that you're looking to fulfill, know that you'll never be matching that 100%. And if you have a certain drive or passion to get to something else, that speaks volumes when you can really speak to that and highlight skills that, even if it's not your like primary role or function, it's something that you do really well as a secondary function, and just let them know that you want to grow that. You are interested in that. You have a passion for that. It honestly speaks volumes. Anyway, I talked longer than I thought I would for this. It's pretty late over here. I'm gonna be getting ready for bed probably pretty shortly here, but was something that was on my mind. Thought I'd throw that out here. So yeah. With that, I guess, hope you're having a wonderful Monday. And at this point, it'll probably be a little bit late for a Monday. Hope you have a wonderful Tuesday as well. We'll catch you then. Yeah, we'll catch you tomorrow on a happy Tuesday. Alrighty. See ya.